What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 6th episode of the Coughy Show. My name is Mike, and you just told me I shouldn't say I got Eric with me today.
Hey everyone, no us.
So in our first article here, we've got Mitch. And I just did it again. We got Mitch McConnell here talking about.
Where's the vodka? We'll take a shot every time you say
And I caught myself on that. So Mitch McConnell was in the news talking about. So he was kind of the big proponent for the 2018 Farm Bill, and he's been on the FDA about getting these regulations out so that business can happen. So the FDA was saying that in order for them to sell items or food items or dietary supplements, it would require them to develop regulations that could take years to complete without congressional action. So McConnell stepped in, and he's issuing a policy that says that they need to have this stuff done within 120 days.
Yeah.
So that's kind of amazing news.
Yeah, it's surprising, coming from someone in the Republican Party, but he is from Kentucky, which they grow a lot of.
Yeah, they grow a lot of hemp. They grow a lot of hemp. Yeah.
Like, that's money. At least he listens to his constituents about, that's where the money is at.
Right. I wouldn't agree with him on, I'd say, a good 75 or 80% of the stuff that he does, but this is definitely something that we can get behind.
It gets a little more ground room with that. Just not a lot, but just a little bit more.
So the FDA is encouraged to consider existing and ongoing medical research related to CBD that is being undertaken pursuing to an investigation of a new drug application in the development of a regulatory pathway for CBD products under the jurisdiction of the FDA, and to ensure that any future regulatory activity does not discourage the development of new drugs. So that's a quote. I kind of get annoyed when they refer to it as a drug.
Yeah. It just has a bad stigma.
Yeah.
Like, it's, younger people, they don't see hemp as a drug, but when you get, adults that grew up, during hardcore prohibition, they just assume, drug.
Right. Call your pharmaceuticals drugs, call cocaine and heroin drugs and all that stuff, but I don't feel like this falls into that category. I think it definitely does fit a lot better into the supplement category.
Definitely. And then they said it was just an hour ago, it just popped up from that one with Mitch McConnell, that they're going to spend $3 million to find out if marijuana, hemp as well, can relieve pain, but they're not going to study any THC whatsoever. They did 9 grants that will do the work for CBD and other components of hemp, but they won't do any THC at all. So, at least they're going to work.
Interesting. So they're studying other cannabinoids, but not THC.
Not THC, not at all. But they'll do 9 grants, $3 million total.
Maybe it's because the research has already been done to show that THC helps with pain. Yeah. So that's kind of not needed.
But, I guess that's a starting point if they're actually going to see, because we have so many states that are medical already where they can actually look at CBD as well, and, it'll give people actual information to understand what it does and, how it's going to work or how it'll help.
Right. So then Senator Jeff Merkley from Oregon was praising the bill, saying that you might note this year that Oregon and the hemp industry is expected to be $1 billion crop this year.
It's insane. That's a lot of money back into the economy.
Right, for something that's been banned for, I want to say I've seen 85 years or something like that.
Yeah, 85 was in there.
That's insane. So we've got an article here from Hemp Industry Daily, and this is a federal judge talking about Indiana's smokable hemp ban and saying that it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, that's kind of like a pick and choose with it being unconstitutional. Like, you can't say hemp is legal and then just say, hemp that you would smoke is still illegal. It's another case, we're constantly talking about, I feel like, where they pick and choose what part of the law they actually want to follow, where that's not how it works. Like, if it's a federal law, you can't pick and choose what you want to enforce. That's not how the judiciary system would work.
And what's interesting to me about it is that, so a federal judge ruled on it, but this doesn't affect other states.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really make sense to me.
Are there still, is Indiana the only state that has that issue, or is it other states?
So, let me see. I read that in here. somewhere else is having that issue as well. I'm missing it.
They're even saying anybody that passes through Indiana with smokable hemp could be charged and arrested. Just if you're a trucker driving through the state, you can go to jail for it.
Like, these truckers don't even know what's in their load. They're just hauling the product that they were hired to haul.
It's like silly because, like I said, you're picking and choosing. Which, we see a lot of places that have a hard time distinguishing what's like hemp and what's marijuana, but still, like, you have to follow the law. You can't just pick the law.
Right. And they actually mention that in here. They say the fact that local law enforcement may need to adjust tactics and training in response to charges in federal law is not a sufficient basis for enacting unconstitutional legislation.
Yeah, it says Indiana, Louisiana, and Texas are the states that have banned smokable hemp. Tennessee has a law where you have to be, you can't be a minor, 18 and older, 21 and older, which obviously that makes sense. You shouldn't be giving, anything to children. Yeah.
Right. Well, in my head, like any of our CBD products, I think about this here and there, and I've had this question asked, like, I don't know anywhere where it's definitively stated, like, someone has to be this old to purchase CBD. That's just kind of something we do here. Like, if you purchase CBD, you got to be 18 or older, because even though, like, we consider it falling into that Dietary Supplement Act, parents may not want their kid consuming that stuff, no matter whether it's smokable or it's an ingestible or topical or whatever.
Yeah, and you got to look at too. You don't know. If you get a kid that's 15 and wants it, you never know with CBD as new as it is, where people are talking about it. Is it going to interfere with another medication that you already take? A lot of people that are scared of CBD are on like blood thinners because they say that CBD kind of helps your blood thin out a little bit as well.
Right.
Also, you don't want a full spectrum to a kid that's 15 and they're taking too much. You don't want to worry about a drug test or something happening, and then you have someone question the parent, why does your 15-year-old have small amounts of THC in their system? Because if they don't know, at least at 18, they have a better idea of what they take. They can talk to their doctor and make sure that it's not going to interfere with any other medicine, and have that opinion where obviously you don't, and you don't want a 12-year-old hitting any kind of cartridge, whether it's CBD or smoking anything that looks like a cigarette, because they're young or little.
Exactly. So moving on, we spoke about this last week about the USDA dragging their heels on getting regulations sent over to the White House. And what we said last week is that they were supposed to have those there in August, and then they changed their mind and were anticipating having it done before the end of the year. But just this week, I want to say it was on Tuesday, they got this draft over to the White House, and now the ball is in the White House's court.
Yeah, which is good, because they say that most state hemp growing pilot programs are still operating under rules that were passed in the 2014 Farm Bill. Yeah, that's 5 years. So 5 years, you change a lot in 5 years without realizing it, and you know more and you have more experience. So it could be a lot of big differences in something from 5 years ago that could be okay then, that could not be okay now, or could even make it a little easier at this point.
Right. So they're planning on having these finalized again for the 2020 grow season. The new rules are expected to designate hemp as a commodity crop and allow for tribal councils in U.S. territory to participate in the growing programs as well.
Yeah, that'll also be nice, because it's going to help with the crop insurance that we've covered in the past. Also, it'll help with banks to actually finance these places and give them an option. In 2019, although a lot of people still use cash, it would be nice to have the option to not have to run solely on cash. You could actually use a bank and pay for things, and have loans and borrow and grow the hemp as well as grow your business.
Right, because in my opinion, cash is still king, but most people nowadays, they went from carrying a cash or a checkbook to carrying cards, or some of them, like you, don't even really carry a card. You use your digital wallet, whether it's Apple, Android, or whatever.
I think I keep $5 in cash just in case, like, I need to card somewhere, or if I don't have a credit card or my phone is dead, I never have more than $5 or $6 in ones. It's usually for the lady that brings tacos twice a week, is the only reason I keep cash.
Eric's a very cheap tipper at the strip club.
Very, very cheap. I like a good time for $5.
All right, so moving on. This is, I don't know. I guess from a business perspective, it's kind of cool, but from the hemp industry perspective, I hate to see the business pushing in this way. So this is an article from Leafly talking about Charlotte's Web. They were actually able to get that strain patented.
Yeah, that's a weird one, especially when it comes to a plant. I understand patents for a physical product or
right.
intellectual patents for your design, your idea. But when you get into like a plant, it's interesting to see like what that could be. What if somebody wanted to grow Charlotte's Web on their own to do whatever they please with? How
right.
would that affect? Obviously not another business or another company from stealing, quote unquote, their idea or their product, but just a normal average person that wants to use it because of the higher CBD content.
Right. Well, and you look at it there. This really doesn't even have a high CBD content. It says it produces up to 6.24% CBD, when most of the stuff we have is 13, 19%.
Yeah.
So that it's not even that notable. So that's a little strange to me. The other thing is like, how does this get enforced? Like, if somebody is to take the same genetics that these guys use to breed Charlotte's Web, because they use somebody else's stuff to start with, it's not like they invented this out of thin air. So if somebody is to take strain A and cross it with strain B and end up with the same result, are they then still using Charlotte's Web, or do they have to buy the seed or get a clone or something like that, and they grow from that, and then it's infringing on that patent?
Yeah, who knows what the legal ramifications would be. That'd be, to me, that's similar. Like, you can't patent like apples. Like, an apple's an apple. You know what I mean? It's something that grows. How do you own the right to that? I get, obviously you don't want to hurt your own business. It is a publicly traded company, so that's something they're big on. Right. But enforcing that is where I think you'll be in more of a gray area, because there's just there's no set rules or like procedure that you would follow, because it's such a new concept.
Right. So yeah, kind of crazy.
Good for them, but it does suck a little bit.
Right. Moving on, this is from modernfarmer.com. This is a farm out of Maine called Sheepscott General Farm, and they're going to do the first pick your own hemp field this year.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. But then so people are literally going. It's kind of a smart business plan for them, because they just grow the stuff. They don't have to worry about harvesting it and curing it and trimming it and turning it into other various products. They just grow it and charge people to go out there and pick it.
Yeah, and they're saying they have 3 acres of hemp, which is going to be about 7,000 plants at $50 a pound.
Right. So what they think most people are going to do with it is create their own tincture or salve. Plus, I guess it's a growing trend to just freeze it fresh and use it in food or tea to get CBDA. So CBDA, kind of similar to THC, you can't just eat THC and get high from it. You have to go through the decarboxylation process. So that means heating it up or exposing it to sunlight, and then you convert that CBDA into CBD so that it's actually going to interact with your body when you consume it.
Yeah, not just kind of process it right through and not feel anything or get any of the effects of it.
But they're saying that CBDA in the raw form will actually do something. I guess it interacts with the cannabinoid system, inhibiting the, I'm probably going to chop this up here, cyclooxygenase 2, COX2 enzyme. And that's associated with associated with inflammation after an injury or infection, So by blocking the COX2 enzyme, CBDA can relieve inflammation and associated pain.
Yeah, that's an interesting way, especially just like freezing it. They say ethanol is a popular and comparatively home-friendly one, but I just couldn't imagine mixing ethanol. I mean, how would you get rid of the ethanol? Would you
you heat it back off.
So cook it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense.
But don't do that in your house because that is definitely flammable, so we don't want to have anybody blowing up their house trying to do this stuff at home.
Yeah. Do your research.
So the varieties that the farm sells range in CBD content from about 15 to 20%. So like we were saying in that last article with Charlotte's Web, they're at 6%. These guys' low end is at 15%. So now, not to say, just like when it comes to THC when you're shopping, you don't just go off of THC content. And that's actually a big rage in the medical industry right now, is these shops and these labs have seen that people just want to see high THC numbers. So now these shops are in collusion with these labs, and they're faking the results to show crazy high THC numbers when realistically that's not all that matters. You know, those different smells and tastes that you get are different terpenes in the plant, so those different terpenes are going to affect you in different ways. So a plant that is 12% THC might give you a better effect for different things than a plant with 30% THC.
Yeah, the terpenes are really big. It's not only THC. I mean, you can have two amounts of very similar things, but just based on what else is in the plant, that's what you're actually going to feel more than just like THC.
Right. Plus, on top of that, they're going to have different levels of other cannabinoids, which are going to affect you differently as well. So our last article here is vape stuff. So we talked about this last week and how they're talking about a nationwide ban on flavored vape juices. So New York kind of jumped the gun on it, and they went ahead and banned flavored vape juice and flavored cigarettes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like that they didn't just narrow it down to vape juice, but I still think it's, up to the consumer what they want to consume.
And with a place like New York, and they're saying, oh, the high school kids, New York's already a state that's 21 and over for tobacco purchases. So, I mean, like, what's the ban going to do that's going to, effectively help this when it's already 21 and older, and that didn't even make a difference? I mean, they only gave them 2 weeks to have it off their shelves. That's not a lot, but think of what that does to, small business and especially just a vape store. Like us, we have a lot of different options. Vape isn't obviously our primary business, but imagine just, a store like Aloma in New York, you'd effectively just be putting people that have spent all this time and money building their brand out of business, because what can you sell? Just a few here or there. There's not a lot of vape juice that's just a tobacco or just
right.
a menthol. If there was, yeah, great, they'd still have an option, but you get a lot more of a creamy tobacco, vanilla tobacco, the toffee flavors, things that are added in, which it's still tobacco, but it has that flavor that could be appealing to kids, which effectively would make it something that you couldn't sell anymore.
And so what's funny to me about this is, again, we spoke about this before, flavored vape juice wasn't the problem. Flavored vape juice isn't causing all these sicknesses. Black market THC cartridges are causing these sicknesses, and I've also heard that poorly made CBD cartridges are causing this as well. It all comes down to what dilutants they're adding into their product. But so what's funny is they're kind of turning this business into a black market now. Yeah. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of people buying up various vape flavorings and then mixing up this stuff in their houses, and we're going to see worse results with that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we're not a store that manufactures our own vape juice. Everything that we sell, they're brands, they're pre-made. You can look at the packaging, you can go to their website, you can see exactly what is in the vape juice. You won't see the percents of all the different things, proprietary information, but you can still look at, Naked. You can go to Naked's website and see this is what they use. This is, the ratios of VPG and other oils that they have in it, where it's not, You're not just buying something that someone just makes, that they just come up with. I want this much of this and this much of that, and
right.
I think it tastes like strawberry shortcake. you know, these are the products that they come in. And, I'd like to think that with these bigger companies that sell juice all the way across the United States, that they'd obviously source, good, clean products, so you wouldn't have vitamin E acetate, which is poisoning people.
Because the goal isn't to kill your customers, the goal is to keep your customers coming back.
Exactly. And I mean, vaping's been around 12 years now,
yeah.
And nobody's had issues for 12 years. I mean, I had my first vape, I was probably 15, and that was a stick vape you bought at a kiosk in the mall. They had like 6 flavors, and I've never experienced any issues with vaping myself, especially as someone that, by 17 I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I've used the Juul every single day for 2 years now, and I haven't had a single cigarette. I don't get bronchitis, I don't get pneumonia, my lungs aren't, that of an 80-year-old man. I haven't been hospitalized, and I use it, all day, even including in my sleep at night. I use the thing non-stop. I sleep with it in my hand, and I don't have these crazy issues that everyone's like, oh, it's from vaping. But I use Juul pods that I know are manufactured by a company where, again, you can look at their website and say, this is, what we use, this is where we get our nicotine from. Nicotine, I get is kind of scary because based on the juice itself and where you get nicotine from a few countries. Some of them are trash that are made in poor countries that don't have laws like us. Some nicotine is really high-end nicotine, and that's usually what makes your juice a little more expensive, but you also don't get that harshness. You don't get the ugly brown caramel color from it. You can always tell by the appearance if you're using something on the higher end or the lower end.
Right. So that's all we've got for you guys today. We will see you guys again next week.
Yeah, get out there, call your politicians, call Washington. We'll try to link the petitions below to keep vape juice for anybody that actually likes to vape and wants to keep it around.
Yeah, definitely.
Also vote to end prohibition. That would help the cause too.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
Later.